Hello guys, it's the third round of the Sinquefield Cup. It's the last leg of the Grand Chess Tour before the finals in Brazil. Today we have some amazing matchups. Let's start with Gukesh vs Sam. Sam is a very solid player and since he is 100 elo lower, Gukesh will definitely try to play dynamic chess with black pieces. So, the game is a Rossolimo Sicilian. Gukesh goes g6, choosing the fianchetto setup and will simply go bishop g7, knight f6, castle. Meanwhile, Sam prepared for d4 and goes for it. Here the most popular moves are taking on d4 following by d5 or directly going d5. If e5, then knight e4. But Gukesh goes for a sideline a5. Sam takes the knight and goes h3, preventing the bishop to pin the queen. Gukesh takes on d4 and Sam takes back with pawn. Gukesh strikes on center with c5. Sam pushes d pawn. Gukesh now goes b5 to take some queenside space. Game continues with knight c3. Sam threatens to go e5. Gukesh plays bishop b7 attacking d5 and preventing e5. Now bishop f4, c4. Gukesh has the idea of maneuvering the knight to d3 outpost. Sam plays a crazy move bishop e5. Now if knight d7, then bishop takes bishop, king takes and queen check followed by e5 and black gets completely suffocated with no piece activity. And if white blocks check by f6, then there is knight g5 and the fork is unstoppable. To avoid all of this, Gukesh plays e6. Now if Sam pushes d6, knight can now go to d7 since bishop g7, king g7, queen d4 check, f6, knight g5 and there is rook e8 threatening e5. So Sam trades on e6, leaving Gukesh with an isolated pawn and two sniper bishops. Meanwhile, white has no weaknesses and everything is at the right place. The position is very imbalanced, just what Gukesh wanted out of the opening. The game continues with bishop d4, rook e8. White has the idea to go e5, gluing his bishop in black's position. But before that, Sam plays a4 and Gukesh responds with queen f8. Now there is a trade which is followed by e5. Here, if Gukesh plays knight h5 or knight d5, then Sam goes knight d5 and saving the e6 pawn will be very difficult. Gukesh here finds the best move knight e8, which is very passive but threatens to take the most active piece of white. Sam goes bishop b4 and Gukesh brings his rook. Here the Indian wanted queen c1, queen f4 to dominate the f-file, but Sam blitzes out Indian's second choice queen e2. Gukesh goes queen c6 pressuring the knight. Here, Indian again screams for queen e3, rook d8, queen f4. Even though black got his rook into white's territory with tempo, but it's actually white who has real pressure with knight g5 and mating ideas. But Sam misses this and instead goes rook d1. The rooks get traded. Sam cannot take with queen because black takes on e5 and knight cannot capture back since it's mate. There is a repetition where Sam is offering a draw, but Gukesh declines it and goes queen c5, further pressuring on e5. Now knight c3, bishop takes knight, queen takes back, queen e5. It appears white is down a pawn, but there is pressure all over black with queen infiltration ideas. Also b5 pawn is weak, which white will look to exploit. Sam goes g3 to avoid any back rank issues. Gukesh plays knight c7. The game continues with queen c6, h5, king g2, knight d5. Gukesh gives away the pawn back looking for some sort of counterplay. The pawn is completely free to take with no useful discovered attacks. The game goes on for a few more moves with the players trading the rest of the pieces to finally get a solid well-deserved draw. Now, the next game is between Nodirbek and Praggnanandhaa. Nodirbek has had two losses to start the tournament, while Prague is on 1.5 leading it. Nodirbek will hope to forget his last two games and focus fully on this one. He plays the English. Prague plays e6. The game continues with knight c3, bishop b4, e4, d6. Prague knows that Nodirbek is in bad form and hence tries to bring him to the unknown territory by playing this unusual setup. White plays d4 and black responds with c5. White relies on his big center and won't want to trade center pawns. In the database, there have been just 2 games with this setup. In one of them, d5 was played and in the other, a3. Nodirbek goes for knight g e2 and we are already in the virgin territory on move 5 and both the players are now on their own. Pragg thinks for 23 minutes and go for c takes d4, knight d4, knight c6, knight takes knight, pawn takes back. Both the sides now develop and castle. Nodirbek goes queen c2 aiming for e5 followed by bishop takes h7. The Indian wanted black to go bishop c5, knight g5 followed by some queen f6, queen h4 pressuring on f2 pawn. But Pragg acknowledges the threat and goes e5. White goes knight a4 preventing bishop c5. Here, Pragg has some options like going c5 or to maneuver the knight to d4 or going d5 opening the center, but he chooses bishop a5 which is the Indian's third choice. Both bring rooks to b file, anticipating opening of b file. Nodirbek prepares b5 by a3 but Pragg stops it by c5. But with that, the d5 square weakens and white might target that. The game continues with rook d1, queen e7, knight c3, bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop. Both of them are playing practical moves and developing without taking any risk. Here, Pragg is on the defensive side with Nodirbek having all attacking chances and a better position. The game goes on with bishop e6, f3, rook c8, bishop e3, queen c7, rook d2, h6, bishop c2. Here, white is now lining up on d file to attack on the backwards d6 pawn. Now, queen c6, rook b d1, rook d8, b3, rook d7. Nodirbek is slowing improving his position. Nodirbek goes h4. The Indian wants a crazy queen maneuvering, queen b6, queen d8, then removing the knight to go kingside, but Pragg doubles up on d file, which doesn't really do anything. The pawn is well guarded. Here, Nodirbek had to go all in by playing g4, but he goes b4, losing all his advantage. Now there happens a big trade of pawns, queen, and a rook. Here, Nodirbek is threatening bishop h6 tactic, winning a pawn. Pragg goes knight h5. Pragg's only hope is to squeeze the white king in the last rank to try a checkmate or attack f2 pawn. Meanwhile, Nodirbek will try to capture on e5 and a7 and use the bishop pair advantage. Nodirbek goes rook c4. Pragg moves the bishop. White goes rook c5. Black checks and rook comes to defend. The rook returns back. The rook on c1 is well covering any mating ideas. The bishop and pawns are well placed. If black rook moves, then a7 dies. The players are just shuffling pieces and no, the game is a draw now. Pragg is still trying to create some chances. Here Nodirbek goes for one final trick and plays g3. If Pragg hops the knight back on g6 or h5, then it would be completely stuck and white's bishop pair can create some practical chances. Pragg finds the best move in the position bishop b3, which leads to an equal trade. And now, opposite colored bishops and symmetrical pawns, the position is a dead draw. Now, they just trade and shuffle the pieces to a 3-fold repetition draw. Nodirbek might feel he missed a win by playing b4, but nonetheless he would be happy at the end of the day to finally get off the mark in the standings. There was another interesting matchup between Fabiano and Alireza. Alireza didn't look good and kept playing inaccuracies, leading to a smooth win for Fabiano. Another game was Levon vs MVL, where Levon was completely losing and a bishop down in endgame. But MVL blended his pawns and the game became a rook vs rook and bishop drawn endgame. The final matchup was between Wesley and Duda, which was a highly theoretical game of Queen's Gambit declined, and they drew in 32 moves. Today, all the games were played with 98 or 99% accuracy, except the Fabiano and Alireza one, which was played at about 90 to 93%. The standings after 3 rounds see Fabi, Levon, and Pragg tied for first with 2 points. With that, I sign off for today. If you are watching this till end, please like the video and subscribe the channel to stay tuned in for more insights. Bye.